Welcome to the For Real Though Show, your podcast with a purpose for the people. I am your host, Christopher Keith, and today it's a little bit of a different podcast. So far, at least in my recollection, all the ones that we've done so far have been planned, somewhat scripted in terms of subject matters and everything, but this was a little different. And I just want to touch for a few minutes on the verdict. Uh, and just want to say a few words and tell you how I feel and how I felt, and see how you guys feel as well. I'd really be interested to know how y'all taking this in. Uh, I'm not sure how many of you watched the trial. I watched most of the trial myself. Uh, I thought that the prosecution did a great job. I noticed that Representative Keith Ellis, I think it's Ellis, I always get it mixed up, Ellison or Ellis, but I think it's Keith Ellis. Uh, at the press conference yesterday, he talked about how they were like the Michael Jordans of attorneys, led by Mr. Blackwell. And he talked about how they didn't think they would, a lot of people didn't think they would share the ball, if you will, because they're very high profile, very accomplished attorneys. But they did a great job. I thought Blackwell especially was masterful. Um, and it just makes you think of so many things like, wow, what it took. In addition to this film, which was done by a 17-year-old young African American woman, and let you know like everything that it took just to get a guilty verdict out of this. But nevertheless, I watched most of the trial. Like I said, there were times when I had to, self help myself, and we'll talk about that in a minute. When it came to the defense, I watched most of the defense, the cross examinations and all that, including their own witnesses. Uh, but I didn't bother listening to his closing argument, because I knew it was just going to be a whole lot of, bashing the victim, bashing the dead man. And so I just knew that I couldn't handle that. Like it was just no purpose in it. You already knew what it was going to be. It's not like it was going to educate me on anything. So it didn't serve any purpose other than to piss you off. So anyway, once they announced that there was going to be a verdict, I thought to myself, like, wow, I was surprised that it was that fast. I expected it was going to be this week, believe it or not. Uh, but when it came around that fast, I said to myself, okay, I'm thinking pretty sure it was going to be guilty on all three charges. Usually, if you have a not guilty or something like that, in this kind of case, it's going to, you probably got one or two holdouts or something, and then, they're going to be haggling it out for quite a while. But so I was pretty confident about it. I was very confident about it, actually. And so when those verdicts were read, I sat there in the bed watching, you know, and when they got through the third one, the third charge, guilty, I just kind of put my fist up, for a moment. And then it came down. And then I was just sitting there, I would say emotionless, but man, it's really just kind of hard to describe. I mean, I think that a lot of you all have felt the same way. At least a lot of people I've seen on TV felt the same way. That obviously this was supposed to happen. It was supposed to happen, just like so many others. It was supposed to happen. Like Rodney King. When you had that on video, and just the fact that you have to have a video, just to even have a shot at something like this, you have to have the best of the best. Again, what Keith Ellis described as, you know, the dream team of a prosecution, hand selected to get over what should have been so obvious that yours truly could have prosecuted it, right? Just by okay, let's just show the film, and after you get through with your forensics and stuff, like it shouldn't even took all of that, but yet it did. So I just sat there, man, because I didn't feel any satisfaction per se. Uh, I can't even say I felt relief. I just felt like that's what was supposed to happen, and then my heart and my sentiments just went to the Floyd family because I said to myself, well, hopefully they will have had some sort of peace and in knowing that this person was, at least at the very least convicted. Obviously, there's a second part to this, which is the judge's sentencing. We have to see what he does. Uh, in my opinion, I think he was out of pocket, talking about what Maxine Waters said, which was to be more confrontational, uh, which is just the hell of a subjective statement, if you will. Like you can interpret that how you want, but when you got a Marjorie Taylor Greene saying that, Nancy Pelosi is her action should be punishable by death. When you got an insurrection on January 6th, and these mother bleepers are still. It just goes to show you, man, this white privilege is a hell of a drug. It's a hell of a drug. So, so for the judge to be like, well, this gives, that Maxine Waters' statement is kind of could be something that could help the defense in an appeal is just fucking ridiculous. Like seriously, like seriously, y'all tripping off of Maxine Waters? What she said for real? It's just the hypocrisy is just overwhelming, if you will. It's just overwhelming. So, so let's just see what he does when it comes to the sentencing. Overall, I thought the judge did a good job, of being fair to both sides in terms of the law. I can understand where he was coming from, and to me, he gave both sides, both the prosecution and the defense, a lot of latitude to make their case. I'm not a lawyer, certainly, but I think just from my observations, it seemed like he was, pretty even-handed. Um, but again, that's just me from a layman, very much a layman's perspective. But hey, he's on the clock, Jack. I know they say 6, 8 weeks or whatever for the sentencing. He's on the clock because if he come off with some 10-year type of bullshit, it's gonna be a problem. It's gonna be a problem. Um, what you saw was the execution. It's not even a shooting thing, where something happens super quick. This was a very methodical, very slow um, execution. So yeah, so that was my initial feelings was just like that was what was supposed to happen. But again, I hope that it gave the Floyd family a sense of satisfaction that Floyd, as his girlfriend called him, Perry, as his family called him, that at least that there was some accountability. I think, that's one thing. He's a convicted murderer from now on, henceforth. But again, I think the sentence it definitely needs to fit the conviction. So how did you process it afterwards? I got to thinking, man. It's such a burden, and watching the whole trial, it's been such a heaviness, to it. Not because just this trial, obviously because of the whole history of white supremacy, Jim Crow, lynchings. Just I cannot say enough about the burden that black people have to carry, living in this racist country. I think I told the story before about going to Toronto, Canada, and how it took me a while to figure out what was so different about it, why I felt such a freeness about it. But it was because, even though again they've had their own racial issues like most of the predominantly white countries do, they didn't have that legacy of white supremacy and slavery. So therefore, like while I was there, interacting with people, from all over the world when I was in a restaurant, no matter where I went, even beyond security, even beyond customs, when getting to the airport. I just had this different feeling, this extra freeness, and it was just to know that I wasn't a nigger. I wasn't a nigger there. You know what I mean? And it was a very palpable, uh, a very palpable sense that I could feel, just like I could feel my own hands right now. That's how. And so when you think about carrying, the burdens of just surviving, you know what I mean? Just not even thriving, just trying to survive. And I don't care what socioeconomic status you're in. It doesn't matter whether you're Tiger Woods, LeBron James, it doesn't matter if you got fat money or if you got low money. These burdens are still the same. They're still the same. Some would argue that, but it's just bullshit because it's been it's been time and time again. Ask Oprah Winfrey about that when she went to a store and they wouldn't let her in when she could have bought the whole damn store. They didn't know who the hell she was. Anyway, so processing it for me, it was still eternally emotional. I don't know. Everyone handles things and stress and stuff different ways. I handle mine a lot. You know, the way I handle mine a lot is quietly. I'm just kind of it going on the inside of myself. To deal with how I feel. And I was talking to a friend of mine, last night, because you know how when they first started talking about the verdict on TV, they was like, well, what if it's not guilty? And again, I knew it wasn't going to be not guilty coming back that fast, but I thought to myself, I honestly, I said, okay, let me take my brain there, and I thought to myself, okay, what if they came back not guilty? And this was my honest assessment. I was supposed to go ref a couple of basketball games last night, and if it came back not guilty, my thought was, I'm not leaving the house. I'm not leaving the house because my thought would have been, hey man, it's just open season. Like they could do anything. They could snatch you out the car like some purge type shit, right? Like cop could just look at you, pull you over, fuck you over. It could be cameras, lights, action, you know, uh directed, produced, and all of that. And just nothing would happen. So I'm not a coward by any stretch of the imagination. But fear, fear and cowardice are not the same. But there was when I just imagined myself there, there was definitely a tangible fear that I said, hey, I'm not saying that I would never leave the house forever in my life, but I can tell you this: last night I would not have left. I would have not left. So, I say all that, man, just to say, hey, if you feel anything like I do, man, it's okay. It ain't no shame, and it's okay to talk to somebody about it. And so, when I talked to my friend, last night, it was just two brothers talking. And, we weren't trying to play all that macho shit, we was just keeping it 100 with each other. That's how we felt, that it would just be open season, and that there was a palpable fear there, and I was really scared to, like I said, I would have been scared to go out. And, even to this day, like I said before, I'm 54 years old. And I've had some great experiences with cops. I've had some horrible experiences with cops, but just by virtue of the nature of not only what I've been through, but what I see every day, you know, if I see a cop behind me for more than 15 seconds, shit, I'm scared. I'm aging. I'm literally aging in a car, Uh, it's just is what it is. I know I'm not the only one. So, so then after that, what do you do? What do you do? I can tell you what I did. I just kind of went into self care mode. Uh, I went out and did my basketball games, and I also had that my second COVID shot, which I had gotten on Monday. So, Monday I was fine. My arm started hurting pretty bad on Monday night, but then yesterday I was just like knocked on my ass the whole day. I was in the bed for most of the day, and so I had that going on at the same time. So now I'm feeling like crap. dealing with this verdict and dealing with all the emotions and feelings that go along with it. And but I went on out and did my games. Um, and then another good friend of mine, he hit me up, about this shooting in Columbus. And the guy just, opened fire on it. No no de-escalation, just hey, shoot you dead. And so for my own self-care, again, and I think when you talk about self-care, man, you really just have to be aware. I encourage all of us to be in tune and be aware of how you're feeling inside and what's going on with you. So I knew for me, and I told my man, I said, hey, Troy, I don't even know, man. I heard about it, like I think I got a notification on my phone, but I'm not even going to look at the news because I'm at the point where the George Floyd murder and the Derek Chauvin trial, having so much invested in it that, I just needed to rest. I just need the mental break. So I learned a few more details, but I haven't watched the news. I don't plan on watching the news. Probably won't watch it today. Probably won't watch it tomorrow. If I feel up to it, I will. But I'm just gonna, cut myself off of it for a while because I know that it's just not good for me. It's not good for me. You can't always be on 100. You can't always be standing on guard. Looking for the enemy. And then just take all these emotional things upon yourself without cutting yourself a break sometime. And your own spirit to tell you. So you got to know yourself. You got to know yourself. And so I did that. I watched basketball last night. When I got home from reffing, watch basketball, man. I didn't want to know any details, any real details. I didn't even want to hear any more about the verdict. And so this morning, got up, took a shower, and decided, you know what, I'm gonna get out the house, go treat myself to some breakfast, and that's what I did. I went to, my favorite breakfast spot, uh, Original Pancake House. Y'all could be a sponsor if y'all want to. Original Pancake House had me a all white spinach omelet and some, pancakes on the side, and had me some coffee, and just sat there and relaxed. You know what I mean? I just had to get out the house again, self care. Uh, it's cold out, but get soaked up a little bit of the sunshine, do something different, just to prepare myself to get back into the into the trenches again. You know, uh, Going to St. Louis over the weekend, see my granddaughter, Millie Mill. She's going to be in a dance recital / competition. I can't wait. So, for me, that's doing something that's, uh, it's finding something joyful. I'm going to find something joyful in that child. And then, my grandchild, and knowing that she'll be happy to see us there, and I'll be happy to be there. Again, this is going to be, just to give myself some balance. Um, So, again, I would just encourage everyone, man, if that's where you at, to do the same. If you're not there and you can stay grinding, stay grinding till it's your time to rest, till it's your time to rest. But for me, I just had to get rid of it all, get out of it all, and get away. And then after this, I could say what's next, what to focus on next for me. And again, I always use my own life as an example. You may not be where you are, but again, I use mine just to be vulnerable so you can know that it's cool. Uh, like I said before, I think as far as the judge goes, it's on him. He on the clock. But other than that, man, I think, it's just been interesting to seeing, people's different reaction, And I hear people talk about, maybe we can come together and all of that. And I just think, they're coming together as a bunch of bullshit, for me, honestly. Uh, I do appreciate the allies. By allies, I mean people who are not black, and specifically people who are Caucasians, whites, who are either, I would say either allies, They kind of fall into three categories. They're either allies, meaning they get it, at least they get it intellectually. They're allies in training, meaning that they're trying to get it. They might not understand their privilege or what it's like for someone like me, or they're just a forever enemy. And if that's the case, that's the case. But so, when you talk about coming together, outside of an ally, or an ally in training, it ain't no coming together. It ain't shit that I can do for you. You know what I'm saying? It's really on white folks. You know what I'm saying? Because so, it's really on y'all. It ain't no reconciliation. Christians talk about, racial reconciliation. You can't reconcile fucking racism. You have to eliminate it. You know what I mean? And it's on the fucking person that's the racist to deal with it. It's not on me. It's not on me to help you, and don't get me wrong, even while I say that, I'm conscious of my blackness all the time, and I didn't mean to go here, but there's so many places where I officiate. So many places where I officiate where I'm the only, black person there. And, I'm talking about in town, in the city, in the area, in the outskirts, sometimes within 50 miles, and I'm gonna always let my light shine. You dig? I'm gonna always be myself. And that includes, keeping order in the game, but I laugh and joke and kick it with people, and you can have on, you can be all in your fatigues and stuff, looking like, country as hell, you know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna treat you with respect, I'm gonna have a laugh with you, so that's just my personality, you know what I'm saying? Unless you give me a reason to think otherwise, and then I'm gonna cut you off. So I'm always doing things to bridge the gap. I'm always doing things to say, to show you that hey, black folks ain't your enemy. Same way with police officers. I got a lot of friends who are cops. Most of you who know me know that already. Uh, and when I'm in these gyms, a lot of times I see cops. Very seldom is it a black cop, but I can guarantee you, 9 times out of 10, I walk up to them. It may be during the game or during the time out of summer, and I give them some doubt. Hey man, how you doing? You good? All right, man. Stay safe out there. And that's to me, that's one black face that they could look at that they could say, maybe when I pull over a black face, I won't act a goddamn fool. Maybe I'll think of this brother who was roughing the game, right? So I'm always conscious and I'm always doing my part, right? Because that's all I can do. I'm not going to give you a racial, diversity seminar, you know what I mean? But I'm just going to be a human, so I'm always doing that anyway. And so, with that said, though, outside of that, there ain't shit I could do, so they know fucking reconciliation. It's not, because that would say like we the fucking Hatfields and McCoys, like we just been in war with each other. No, 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 no. Y'all been in war with us, you know, even to the fact of, again, not only January 6th, but these Jim Crow ass voting laws, and legislations that they coming up with. Even in the midst of, okay, yeah, guilty, 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 but we're still gonna try to restrict your right to vote. We still try to take your humanity at every turn. So 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 to be honest, like, so coming together that, that's I could give a fuck about that. Like I don't give a fuck about coming together. What I care about is legislation. Because I can't legislate your heart. If you don't like black folks, it's your problem. I don't give a shit, right? I don't give a shit when I'm in the East Bumfuck, Ohio, or whatever, or Missouri, or Illinois, wherever I have that I've refed. I don't give a fuck if you don't like me. All I care about is what you do to me, or you know what I'm saying, how you treat me and what you do to me. Uh, and that's why it's important to have laws. Legislation is where it's at. That's why you know civil rights. I think it's Civil Rights Bill of '64, Voting Rights Act of '65. Legislation means that, hey, the law says you cannot do this, you cannot do that. The law says that you can't carry out certain practices because we can't wait on your fucking heart. Your heart is already it's already the devil. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, fuck your heart. You know what I mean? Again, you never gotta hang out with me, but the law says that you can't do certain things. So obviously, I know I'm telling you that's where it's at. It's legislation. That's why they're trying to take the vote away because they're trying to get at legislation. And I'm saying that when it comes to this, racial matters, hey man, I'm at the point where I ain't trying to convince nobody. I'm really not. Uh, that's on you. If you want to be an ignorant fucking racist, man, hey, do you. But when you hurt people, when then you need to pay a price. And I think that as a people, we should just always constantly be focused on uh, legislative reform, where there's a price to be paid, even if it's a civilian review boards or things like that. You know, even for cops, hey man, you know, here's the thing. Up until this point, there's no such thing as a policeman's draft. You dig? So you volunteer for these jobs, and I don't want to hear the shit about you know afraid for my life and all that. Motherfucker, quit. Do something else. Go to Walmart. I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? Uh, no one asked you to do this job. You know, and even when people say, "I just want to get home to my family," there's just something. There's something sinister even in a statement like that, because what it says is, acts like I don't want to get home to my family. You know what I mean? And so if you're not able or equipped to do the job, then don't be there. Leave room for somebody else. So it's not and you don't get a cookie for doing the right thing. You might get a shout out because it's so fucking unusual. You know what I mean, from a humanity perspective, but you don't get no cookies. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't like it, fucking don't do it. But so again, legislative is where we should go. Whether it's dealing with the qualified immunity, police unions, having all this power to say, hey, we got all this benefit of the doubt, from a legal perspective, to use deadly force, uh, and to be able to get away with it. So no, legislative now is where we need to go forward with. I believe the I believe sports has been a really big deal in this. I applaud the Colin Kaepernicks, LeBron James, uh, yeah, Kyrie Irving. As off as he can be. I mean, if Kyrie, if they'd have had a not guilty verdict, boy, Kyrie probably wouldn't have played for the next month. Bring a little levity to the situation. Uh, but no, man, the Atlanta Dream, um, all those people who refuse to shut up and dribble and make their voices heard. Hey man, listen, black people run the culture. Best believe that black people run the culture. So therefore, you know, uh, I believe we made this happen. We made this happen. We should pat ourselves on the back for having enough pressure, to where we put enough pressure on society to make this happen in terms of this particular verdict. It's been a long time coming, and we still in the midst of it. So anyway, I ain't gonna keep you long. That's all I want to say. But again, I'd be interested in how you guys think. How are you processing it? How are you self-helping? Uh, are you doing any preventative measures? Are you taking care of yourselves in the midst of this? In the midst of these traumas? Do you recognize it? Do you recognize the tension in your chest, as I do? And again, I would just encourage you, man. All soldiers have to have time off, and so you have to allow yourself that. I've been really invested in this trial, as I'm sure a lot of you have. Uh, Obviously invested in the results. Know thyself. Really know thyself, and give yourself what you need, because you're talking about hypertension. You're talking about all kind of diseases that come within your body when you're stressed out. So you have to make it a priority to take care of yourself. So you could be here, to fight these battles and teach others, how to get through the same. So I encourage you very much. Stay positive. Take care of yourselves. Be good to yourselves. Stick together. You know. And again, yeah, I certainly appreciate all you, hanging with me. I appreciate all my friends and family. So I got some business to take care of. Like I said, I was on my ass all yesterday. I didn't get to do anything. So I'm gonna get to that now. But I want to reach out to you all first. Take care of yourselves. Find some joy. Focus on legislation. And again, let us know how you feel, whether it's on the YouTube channel, For Real Though Show, or at the email, theforrealthoughshow@gmail.com. Keep it real, stay 100, and stay safe. God bless.